the View My Sports studios, it's The Breakdown with your hosts, Roger Tillis and Chuck Olesker. Today's guest on The Breakdown is the founder of SAS, Speed, Agility, Sports-Specific Performance Training. Welcome, Coach Darrell Pasquali. Hi, welcome to today's edition of The Breakdown. I'm Roger Tillis, your host for the day, and I'm joined to my right by the co-host, Chuck Olesker. And we have a special guest today. It's a real treat. We have a performance trainer, Darrell Pasquali. He is the founder and primary trainer for SAS, which stands for Speed, Agility, Sports Specific. Doesn't get any more specific than that. Darrell,
right. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
I appreciate it, fellas. I'm looking forward to being here and looking to have some fun.
Excellent. Well,
Good.
fun is
Fun is
Chuck's middle name. I mean,
That's
look
right.
at that face. That's saying party all over.
That's right.
It's funny. We talk about all the different facets of athletics, at the high school and the collegiate level. We get into everything. But what you see highlighted, it seems, most out there, and God, you can back me up on this, thousands and thousands of these camps and different organizations and the how to get the most out of what you got, to further yourself towards getting that collegiate scholarship, regardless of sport. I mean, it's just so much is out there. It's a big money industry,
Yes,
is what we found. Not necessarily a good thing. There's a lot of people making money out of it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's successful for what it was intended to do. We'll get into that probably another show, but we'll certainly touch base on that a little bit later on as well. But we thought it would be great to have Darrell come in because Darrell, of course, this is what he does, but he does it differently. He does it the right way. We have firsthand experience. We've gone out and actually witnessed how Darrell and his company and the coaches that he has involved, how they go about their business with the kids and making them better. And we like his strategy. We like the way that you do things. And so we felt, this is something that we need to share with everybody out there in the View My Sport Nation. This isn't just about football or baseball or basketball. This is about all sports. It's almost a certain mentality. And that's where Darrell, Coach Pasquali here, is very helpful. So we're going to get into it. Now, Darrell, you've been doing performance training for a long time. Tell us about where you come from, your history and where it all started for Coach Pasquali.
Well, I was a young kid at the time, and I grew up a young buck, and I grew up around professional sports. My father was with the New York Jets and 6 other teams, and so being around it, I always enjoyed being around the players and the coaches and just learning about football.
I was going to say, and this is football, and for those of you that don't know, when he says his father is Coach Larry Pasquali, who has been, God, he talking about a long, illustrious career in the NFL.
23 years in the NFL, over about 40 years total in coaching.
And you grew up in football. The primary team that you grew up with was the New York Football Jets, right? Not the Giants. That was your
New York Jets were the prime sport, the team that we were around for quite a while.
Now I'm not going to age. I mean, you weren't back there like hanging out with Joe Namath, were you?
No, not Joe Namath. No, it was not. Not that old.
Okay, just wanted to clear that up.
Yep.
Okay, so
being around it for so many years, and so as a 7th, 8th grader, I always wanted to become a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I played football, I also ran track, and once I finished high school, I went off, played college, went for football in college, and
what was your position? Now you were a kicker?
Well, I actually in high school I played many positions. One of them was kicker, but running back as well as defensive back and returner. So because of being around the football at a young age, I was able to see all different positions and apply it.
Very nice.
So I really enjoyed doing that. And once I went to college, I went as a kicker for my first year. But then the second year, I decided to get a little bit more involved and wanted to as a running back.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
And
well, you don't see that very much. I'm a running back and a kicker. I mean, I've seen some kickers go down and lay some players out, and you think that they should probably be playing something other than. Very nice.
Sometimes those kickers, they really want to have a little bit more explosion.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And make their own tackle. I mean, if they're going to kick the ball, they're going to go and make that tackle.
That'd be my. See, that would have been me. I'd been the kicker that I'd have the shortest career because I'd go down and try to lay someone out and probably get mowed down. That's it. It was a hell of a hit, but it was only one hit.
That's right.
So being around it, I really enjoyed it. And then once I finished playing it in college, I went right into coaching football. As a student assistant, and I was doing that for many years. I started coaching at Fordham and just moved on to a different couple colleges, and I was in it for about maybe 8-9 years, and then I went as well to the NFL with the San Diego Chargers, and West Point, and I ended up going to Toronto Argonauts as well. And
a little Canadian experience. Nice.
So. So everything that I wanted to do, I wanted to coach, and I was able to do that.
That's outstanding. So you've seen it all. I mean, you've seen the kids, that come from high school into the collegiate programs. You've seen the development. You've seen the deficiencies, if you will. I mean, you expect these kids to come in at their peak. Yes, they're going to grow naturally because they're coming from high school. The typical growth aspects. But you see a lot of the deficiencies, no doubt. Now, let me ask you something. From a training perspective, again, you do performance training.
Yes.
Are you strictly football, or do you handle other sports or athletes in general? What's
Well, the sport, even when I was still coaching football, I was really involved in football. Mm-hmm. But once I started doing sports performance training, I opened up and started working with many different sports. Football, tennis, lacrosse, baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, volleyball, golf, swimming, actually, as well. Which allows me to work with each athlete and make it specific for what they need.
Thus, the name in the name of your company, sports specific.
Exactly, right. And that's if you really want to enhance your performance, enhance your sport. You actually have to you have to do functional training within that sport.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. And it's funny, you talk about tennis, and someone's saying tennis. What in the world do you have, what possibly could you do for a tennis player?
Yes.
Well, you have an interesting story where you had a kid, if I'm not mistaken, that was struggling. He wasn't really getting much in the way of looks from a tennis scholarship perspective. Finds Coach Darrell Pasquali in SAS. You worked with him one-on-one, and the next year, after all the work and the time that you put in with him, he ends up signing a tennis scholarship. Was it Nebraska?
That particular kid, actually, I worked with him for 4 years.
Oh, so he was an ongoing project.
Yeah, so he was an ongoing project for about maybe 4 years, and from probably going to 10th grade. But he needed to be a little enticed a little bit. The first couple maybe sessions, he okay.
He wasn't putting his best foot forward.
But then he saw the benefits of it because he had these tournaments that they go to, and he saw, hey, this is really working. And what happened is he just engulfed it. And basically he wanted to take it on. And I saw him 2-3 times a week for 4 years, and now he's playing in Nebraska.
Very nice.
I tell you, if you don't think that your training continues daily, every day, every week, every month, every year, you can always get better.
Absolutely.
When you think you've got it licked, and you're there, you've made the big show, regardless of, is that going to play collegiately or whatever the case may be. Well, as soon as you stop, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And by God, and so we're talking about training not just to help get you to that next plateau, but to keep you there.
Yes.
And to keep you competing at your optimum levels.
Yes.
So
Right.
you don't say, well, okay, I made it. Now I can sit on my thumbs. No way. That's where you got guys like Coach Pasquali keeping you there because, as you well know, all of you athletes out there and parents, there's always somebody behind you looking to knock you off and take your position.
Absolutely.
And if that doesn't bother you, well, then maybe you shouldn't be in sports.
Right.
Because that's the name of the game, baby.
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's the main focus. Is once you get to that next level, you have to maintain it in order to get to that next level.
Sure, and
Right.
Stay at that level,
and there's
then
always
move up.
a next level,
Right.
Whether it's internally, because you got to be driven.
Yes.
You and for many of us, are the self-proclaimed athletes. Even once you get into college, for most, that's it. So you better have something else that's driving you other than, well, I'm going to try to make it pros. Once you're there, you got to compete, man. It's just the love of the competition.
It is. There's a major difference between high school football and college football. And a lot of these high school athletes don't understand how important it is to maintain your performance levels throughout your career.
Sure.
And it is the level is just it's unbelievable. It's different.
Well, how many examples? I mean, God, you could probably cite thousands of examples where the kids get there and then it's like, and they think, well, I've made it, and that's it. They've peaked. They haven't done anything else to better themselves, and all of a sudden, I'm a sophomore now. I'm 2 years, 3 years into the program, barely holding on to my scholarship, and you got guys nipping at your heels. There's always going to be someone behind you wanting to take your position.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Now, Darrell, let me ask you something. Now, you deal strictly with the kids in the U.S., or from what I understand, now you have a global presence. I mean, you've had a couple of kids from Europe, from Germany. Tell us about that.
Absolutely.
Not just clients, but you actually had success with them.
Yes, I've actually had 4 athletes that I work from Germany, and what they usually do is they'll come over for a couple weeks. And I train them, and we usually do an extensive program, which is 2 practices a day for maybe 10, 12, 14 days. And I just basically sharing with them what they need to work on to enhance their performance. And some of those athletes ended up getting scholarships in college, and they're playing now. Or just improving in their career.
Now, you had a kid in Germany, I believe, that signed here in the U.S. He was playing some sort of, I guess, association football, and I mean American football, not football, not soccer. He was, actually playing football, and he was a beast.
Yes. Well, Patrick, I actually met him. He was in the NFL and some other leagues, but we actually worked out for 4 years, and so to help maintain his performance level, and a lot of these teams were looking at him, and they thought he was 26, 25 years old, and we were working. He was like 32, 33, 34 in his prime.
There's still hope, Chuck.
No.
Yeah. Just get with Coach Pasquale here.
So it's what you said is how much do you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
Absolutely.
And with Patrick, we saw him for 4 years, and we saw him like almost 4 or 5 days a week, and we worked on every facet of the game, and that's what you have to do in performance. So you have to work on every facet of your sport.
Now, you had another kid from Germany. I believe he signed like Idaho or something.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a great success story. That kid was a beast.
Yeah, he is still in Idaho. I believe he's a junior. And,
I think so.
He was a defensive end, but he signed as a scholarship with as a long snapper.
That's outstanding.
So, he is basically probably going to get a job in the NFL as a long snapper.
That's great.
Wow.
I tell you, a lesson to the kids out there, and I hear this from some collegiate coaches that I've talked to, and they talk more and more about getting kids scholarships, not just from the United States, but from all over the globe. And if you don't think the numbers are stacked against you from a ratio perspective, just using the numbers of the kids in the United States, now you got everybody else, throwing their hat in the ring.
Right.
It is ultra competitive out there. Anything that you can do to get the edge physically, mentally, scholastically, by God, you should do it. But do it right. Research it. Make sure what you're getting into is truly going to benefit you.
Absolutely.
Now, you talk about, working with this kid and working with that kid. Now, I know you do a lot of one-on-one work, and the parents can, hire you out, so to speak.
Yes.
But now you don't do just one-on-one work. You also will work with groups, teams, clinics, things like that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I have mostly worked with the one-on-ones, but in the past I've worked with groups as well as teams. I've worked up basically about 115 kids in a team period.
Wow.
In a camp. And basically is you have to have circuit training within that many people, but you still have to have the correct program. So I've had lacrosse teams, I've had football teams, I've had soccer teams, and you basically have to functionally put them what they need to for that particular sport and position.
Mm-hmm.
But
so you'll tailor these clinics to whatever the sport. It's not like a cookie cutter type of setup that you see so many of these camps and combines, right? I mean, it's like they all went to the same library and checked out the same book.
Right.
So yours truly is unique and specific.
Yes.
to that
yes.
sport.
I remember particularly one team that I worked with. It was in a camp setting, and I worked in their speed training, agility training, plyometrics training.
Plyometrics.
But as well as with that aspect, but then we went into their position training.
Mm-hmm.
And worked with different positions. So I would take, one time I would take running backs and work on a couple of running back drills, or receiver drills, or defensive back drills, or quarterback, and my father was involved in me as well. So we would take one side and he'd take another side. But we were working on position training.
I bet you had you probably have the cream of the crop when it comes to like coaches, and not guys that are just volunteering to get out there and look like coaches, but you get the real McCoy out there. I mean, you've got the real guys out there running them through the paces.
Yeah, that's what you need to have. If you want to do sports performance training, or you want to just enhance your position within that sport, you have to have someone who has an extensive background.
That's I mean, you figure, they say, well, those that can't teach, well, that's not necessarily the case, and here you've got, a mixture of guys that have played, that have coached, that have instructed, and the stuff that works. We're not talking about trying to recreate the wheel. It seems like you get a lot of these guys, they come out of their professional sports or collegiate sports, and they want to come out and they're going to build the next best facility or have the next best, format for camps, and it's all just the same old crap. Again, just because they have a name doesn't mean that they have the result.
Right.
So, and that's where you got to do your research.
Well, one of the things, Roger and Chuck, that for me was beneficial in terms of sports performance training is, as an athlete, I went through speed agility training, and I knew what was going on here, and I knew what I had to do as an enhance.
Right.
From there, then I went to coaching. And I went from coaching college football and the NFL and Canadian Football League. And then I went to the sports performance training aspect, working with all different sports.
And you're certified in all this stuff, too. I mean, it's not like you just said, I'm self-proclaimed.
Right.
Look at me, this is what I do. I mean, you're actually certified.
I'm a certified personal trainer. And what it basically is being a coach, you're looking at the other teams, other sports, and just you really generalize, but also specifically look at what position and what sport they need to train.
Sure. Well, that's that, and that's what it's all about. And again, that's where we say, do your homework, do your research, make sure you are fitting into the right program. So tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into some more particulars, some detailed things that can help you get to that next level, and especially for the high school athletes out there, obviously, that are, they want to work hard, but they also want to work smart. So you could go, 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction and fail miserably. So we're going to help you stay on track. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you a high school athlete, parent of a high school athlete, maybe a high school coach or a college coach looking for a high school athlete, or just a fan of high school and college sports? Then you need the ViewRecruit mobile recruiting app. It's got everything. Athletes can create profiles, including their highlight videos. They can use the Recruit network to send their profiles directly to college coaches. If a coach likes your profile, great. You get a notice directly on your mobile device and receive an email to boot. College coaches can receive updates directly on their devices and use the search function to find the talent that fits their program. Whether you're an athlete or a college coach, it's like having your very own recruiting department right at your fingertips. Download the ViewRecruit app now on iTunes for your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. Be part of the #1 high school athletics and college coaching network. Get it today, the ViewRecruit mobile recruiting app. All right, and we're back. Thanks again for tuning in to The Breakdown. I'm joined here with, of course, my co-host, Chuck Olesker. Say hi, Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
I knew he was going to do it every bloody time. I got to come up with some new material.
So do I. That's right.
We're joined here, of course, with Coach Darrell Pasquali, the founder of SAS, and he is a primary example of how to do things right when it comes to performance training, not just for one sport, but for all sports. Again, part of the moniker of the company is sport specific, and that's certainly what Coach Pasquale gets into. Before we jump into any of the next round of details that we want to share with you, we are going to get into our Athlete of the Week. Chuck, take it away for the Athlete of the Week. Who are we looking at this week?
Thank you, Roger. From the Marshall County High School in Lewisburg, Tennessee, the Mighty Tigers of Marshall County, the Athlete of the Week is Peyton Williams, the class of 2016.
Nice.
He's a linebacker, and he's a good-looking young man. I mean, he's got some size on him.
Say it, Chuck. He's a bloody beast, is what he is. We looked at that profile.
He is a beast.
That's awesome.
Raising all kinds of cane.
He's a class of.
He's a 2016. So he's a sophomore.
Sophomore, and he looks like he's in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Good God.
Congratulations, Peyton.
Excellent, Peyton. Excellent.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for choosing ViewMySport.com to promote yourself and get your information out there. We wish you all the success. Although, you're probably one of those examples that it doesn't matter whether you use ViewMySport.com or whomever, you've got those physical attributes. I mean, again, you're a man beast, and you're only a sophomore. So
right.
we hope that you continue to enjoy the success that you've had up to this point, and we look for great things. Obviously, anything you need, ViewMySport.com is here to help, not to ride your coattails. We're hoping that you'll just let us help you.
Right.
So fantastic. Well, congratulations, and for any of you out there, if you want to see more on Peyton, simply go to www.viewmysport.com. You'll see the Athlete of the Week right there on the home page. Click his picture, and it'll take you right to his profile. You can see his details, stats, video, everything that you'll need to see. And especially for you college coaches out there, you better pay attention to this kid. Trust me.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, now on to our MVP of the show. Of course, is our guest, Coach Darrell Pasquali. We were getting into some particulars as far as the need for sports-specific training and all of that, and I think we covered it pretty well as far as how it can benefit the athlete, not just at the high school level, but then to maintain those levels as you get in.
Right.
Now I'm a little curious though. Now you work at certain skills, again, sports-specific. Are there, let's say, shared dynamics that you would tell any young or a high school athlete who's now kind of getting into, maybe they're playing more basketball, maybe they're really focusing on football, but maybe they're going to try to play lacrosse, but they want to play soccer. I mean, some of these kids, they want to play everything they can. They're
Absolutely.
not they're not all about. I mean,
Absolutely.
so are there some primary skills or things that that they should be focusing on to kind of give them a well-rounded ability to
Yes.
pursue these other sports? I mean, if I'm a parent and I say, Coach, my kid's, he's right now, he's only 130 pounds, he's 5'9". We want to make sure he's doing the right things. We don't want to just have him running steps, because
Yes.
maybe that's not going to be applied elsewhere. What are the things that he should be doing so he's just more well-rounded and able to accept whatever the other sports are that
Right.
are going to be thrown at him?
Well, really, the first thing is most important for an athlete is flexibility. You have to have flexibility, and at a young age, you have to realize that and continue with that, because sometimes it takes longer for a young athlete to really understand that, and you're really kind of behind the 8 ball. You really have to flexibility at a young age, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you have to do it at least once, twice a day. I recommend with my athletes, I tell them twice a day, morning and night. Because number one, it's going to make you a better athlete, but as well as prevent injuries.
And when we're talking about flexibility, we're talking about the good old-fashioned stretching.
Yes.
The most boring, least sexy of all the athletic aspects out there. Nobody likes doing it. Matter of fact, I see kids out there and they're just like, man, they're at the peak of their physicality, so they think they can take out the world, and they want to get to it. They want to start,
Yes.
They want to knock heads, or they want to start swinging the bat, whatever their sport is. And you're right. I mean, yes, at that particular moment, you feel like you're good to go.
Right.
But from an injury standpoint,
Yep.
it's important. And
Injury
I tell
prevention.
you, and injury prevention and longevity. You see, some of these guys that are playing in the NFL, they're like, dang, man, he's 30-something and he's playing like he's 20-something, or, he just hit 40 and he's still knocking the snot out of people. Well, a lot of that comes from aspects of training, but almost always you hear, it's my flexibility. It's my flexibility. It keeps my muscles loose, my joints, lubed. I mean,
They really know, with NFL guys who are in there for longevity, is they really know how to take care of their body. The flexibility, when to do the cold baths, when to just relax, to eat the proper foods,
Right.
Get your rest. All those things, they understand that at a earlier age, and they just apply that within their career. So with the young kids, the young athletes, you have to maintain that. Once again, you have to do the flexibility. You have to do. You have to get plenty of rest. You have to eat well. You got to eat a lot of good food too. In order to get size, you need food.
it's not just hanging out at McDonald's. It's
No.
eat a lot, but eat a lot of the right
you
stuff.
You got to eat the right stuff, as well as and just really maintain your body and give your body some recovery time as well. And another aspect too is recovery is another training facet.
Really?
And you have to, once again, take care of your body in terms of ice or a hot bath or ultrasound, foam rollers that you just kind of loosen up your muscles. It's just that's another form of training, but it's recovery, and a lot of athletes need to do that as well. If with the flexibility, if you're not flexible, you're not going to become a great athlete.
Right.
Because without flexibility, you're not going to maintain. You're going to get injuries, but as well as you can enhance your speed. If you're not flexible, you're not going to enhance your speed.
Sure.
And
sure.
agility.
And not just speed flat out like running speed, but you're talking like quickness,
Right.
agility, just performance overall. And that's a major department right there.
And it's funny, you say it's a major piece, and it seems like it's a no-brainer, but it is amazing how many kids in high school and the parents, they just don't, again, it's not glorious, but it's the part of behind the scenes that you've got to focus on. I mean, I've seen kids go out and compete in different sports, and you've got the kids that take the time. They're serious. They're out there stretching. I saw this one hurdler. He'd be off by himself. He had his earplugs tuned in, and he's doing his thing. Well, the rest of the hurdlers and runner, they did a few basic stretches, and I'm up in the stands watching this one guy, and he was going through certain stretching drills and agility drills and doing the extra thing. Well, guess what? He only set a couple of the records at the meet, and he was, but I mean, and that's the point. If you want to get to that level, it could be those types of different things that they're doing that separates them.
Absolutely.
And you don't wait to become a superstar to do it. You do it to become a superstar or the best that you can possibly be.
And once again, and there's two different types of flexibility. The main ones are static and dynamic. And some do one, some do the other.
What's the difference for our audience out there?
The difference is the static stretching is basically you're just standing still, and you're just like stretching your hamstrings, reaching out for your toes and touching.
The stuff that we all grew up with.
The stuff that we grew up with. Once again, you said the boring things that
gym class,
the gym class stuff. You're just sitting there and you're just kind of okay, one leg behind, one leg out. Lean back, stretch your quad. That stuff. But that's a static. The dynamic is actually you're moving like shuffle, karaoke, back pedal. Those are dynamic exercises as well as and also great hip flexibility work. And that's what you have to have. You have to have excellent hip flexibility also to become a great athlete.
Yeah, I was going to say, you hear a lot of that in football, but you need that for every sport. Anybody who's played any sport, I mean, you're turning on the dime, the odd angles, the reflexes to turn and move. Yeah, I mean that's all you hear about, like that and core work and things like that.
Yes.
But I mean, but the hips, I mean, that's where it all starts.
Yes.
Well, in the brain,
Right.
that's a whole nother animal.
Yep. Darrell, I wanted to ask. We've kind of touched on nutrition a little bit, and of course, a hot topic in the nutrition world is the use of supplements. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? What do you recommend to the high school athlete as far as taking either legitimate supplements, legitimate things that they should be trying to consume to help them with their workout, help them recover, or what do you recommend?
Or do you even need any?
Right, exactly.
Well, I really recommend. I'm not a big fan of supplements, Chuck. But what you really need to do is you have to take your proper protein, the basic supplements, and there could be meal replacements, but they have all your vitamins and minerals that you need, the protein. You don't want to take one or the other. You really want to get everything that you need for your body, as well as the protein in eating.
So like chicken and fish and things.
Chicken and fish, but then you could take a meal replacement with protein, but it has all your vitamins that you need, all your minerals, everything that you need. I don't recommend just one or the other. And the other thing is with young athletes and any athlete, I do not recommend creatine and all those sports performance enhancers. You don't need that. You could do that without that. You just have to focus. There is no fast strength. Okay?
Thank you.
You have to work at it every day.
Right.
It's just like if you're going to a job. That is your job. You have to get stronger. And it's all about the mind, but also about what you put in your system.
Absolutely.
Great food. And really, you could get stronger without any of that extra stuff. All you need is the proper protein, the proper minerals, the vitamins, the proper rest,
the essential items, right? And Chuck, that's a very good question because it is, and it's so difficult because you preach it, but then you've got some out there, especially the ones peddling this stuff in the stores, where it's like but it gives you that little edge, and the problem is because it is so competitive out there, and now not just about winning, it's now about getting to the next step, getting the scholarship, getting on TV, all the other things that the kids think about. about, and they think, well, but if it'll just help me get that one little, that little edge over my competitor, then maybe I'll get there. Well, you summed it up. I mean, there is no magic pill.
Right.
And the long-term effects of these things, yes, it might give you a little extra strength, but then all of a sudden you're going to have heart issues because the heart, even though the other muscles are growing, the heart's not affected, and it's going to be overtaxed and can blow. I mean, we could talk about all the medical aftermath, and believe me, it exists. So you have to, like Coach Pasquali said, do it the old-fashioned way,
right.
And eat right, take the right essential vitamins, and that's all you're going to need. Believe me, if you think that you need the pill to make it get to that next level, well then maybe you're just not good enough if you got to rely on a pill. How about that? Take that and think about it. Because again, and any parent that allows it, I think they're wrong.
Right.
I just think they're wrong, period. Yeah. So, tell you what, I want to end this session on that. We're going to have a little discussion during the break. We're going to get things in order, and then we're going to come back and we're going to jump into some other things where it comes to college recruiting and getting prepared the best you can, when it comes time for the workouts and whether you're a walk-on or whatever the case may be. But we're going to break it down for you here with Coach Pasquali and Chuck Olesker, and we're going to have some information that I think you're going to find really useful. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
There are thousands of high school athletes that want to play at the college level. They just don't get noticed. At ViewMySport.com, we get your game out of the shadows and into the college spotlight. It's fast, easy, best of all, it's free. In the time you can text your friends, you can create and send your own athlete profile to as many colleges as you want. Get to the next level. Visit ViewMySport.com today and follow the 3 simple steps. Why wait? Your competition's not. All right, and we're back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Roger Tillis, your host here on the Breakdown. Of course, here with Chuck Olesker and our guest, Coach Darrell Pasquali from SAS Sports Performance. Mm-hmm. Now, during the break, we were talking about some of the the aspects of how this is so important. What Darrell does. Those of you, if you're just joining us, again. Sport-specific performance training, and that's what Coach Pasquale and his organization does. They'll work with you one-on-one or as a group, team, whatever the case may be. And we were talking about how important it is to obviously focus on these aspects, but then we kind of got into a discussion and came up with a couple of good points that we thought we better share. First of all, having somebody like Coach Pasquale and his organization in your corner is great. And that's something that is extremely important. But, and this is real important for the high school athlete that's looking to get to the collegiate level, you can't just focus on the physicality. You can't focus on, well, I'm just going to become a better athlete. Mm-hmm. That, and maybe not just have one person like Coach Pasquale. Maybe, for example, you might have a tennis coach. You might have Darrell working with the speed training and some of the strength training. You may have also an additional strength coach. That's great, but it even goes beyond that. Mm-hmm. And this is very important for the high school athlete. You can have all of your facilities and your trainers and your specialists and your coaches. Well, you better throw into that list, and not necessarily at the bottom. You better throw onto the list your teachers, your guidance counselors, and above all, your parents.
Yes.
It takes a team to win. Whether you're an individual or a team, it takes a team to win. Absolutely. And the more help you have, the more involvement, working cohesively together and specializing in their own little areas, that is critical. So, again, and having the team and everybody in your corner, it makes you well-rounded. You have a great support group. No one person has all the answers. And so I think that in a case where if you're trying to prepare to get to the collegiate level, and we talk about this all the time. I mean, first of all, you have to have the grades. you have to have the grades. You can, during the break, Chuck was talking about an athlete that he was talking with. The kid was a stud. I mean, he was at the highest level in all the sports that he was playing. He was struggling academically, but all you heard the parents talking about, getting him extra training and this and that, and they weren't getting it. That wasn't being even a better athlete wasn't going to get him into college if he can't make the grades to get into those programs. So again, take everything that we're talking about and please realize that it's not all about this one area. This is one small piece of the puzzle put together with everything else that can make you extremely successful, make your journey through the recruiting process so much more delightful. And the end result is you get to go to college. You get to have, social interaction with people just like you, some great people. You get to learn something about yourself, and you can develop certain skills that will take you into a career, post-college. Excuse me, post-collegiate. So, take all of this and kick it around, mull it about, and get your team formed. Whether it's spending money or whether it's finding the individuals to work with you, whatever the case is, but just put it in the right direction. So,
I agree. Yeah, you have to have with the college, it's called student athlete.
Keyword student.
Student athlete. So you have to have that. And once again, I agree with you, Roger and Chuck. Is you have to have the team atmosphere. It's your parents and the eating and the schoolwork and the strength training. Everything got to have that facets.
It's the whole, and you can't just focus on the one. Yeah. Right. Now I'm kind of curious. We hear a lot of the laments from the high school coaches, with the parents. And parents, this isn't, we're not trying to bash the parents. And we know that not all parents are the same. Likewise, not all coaches are the same. Mm-hmm. But it's always fun to remind parents that you have a certain role to play. And yes, we know you love your child. You want the best. We all know that. You know that. But we also know that there are some that are overbearing that try to hold the reins for everything. Mm-hmm. Oversee it, prepare your child, assist where needed, but let the professionals do what they do best. And Darrell, I'm kind of curious. Again, we hear it from some of the high school coaches, but when you get to training, especially the one-on-one, it's like the Olympic ice skaters who mothers and fathers are over on the sideline just watching every move, and the coaches in their pocket, so to speak. I mean, do you come across a little bit of that? And if you do, I mean, what's your advice for the parents as far as what their roles should be during this time in their kid's life?
Right. Well, like we just mentioned before, the parents have to get involved, but there's some aspects that that. Now you have to let the coaches involved in that as well, and let them kind of take the reins. But it's always great for the family and the fathers or the moms to hop in there and just listen and stuff like that, and which is all good because once you're done with the training and each kid goes home, then that's something that the parent could just. Okay, remember what you did today, and remember that, and so it's always good to really teach them as well.
Sure,
you have to teach the athlete as well as you're kind of teaching the parent as well.
Right. Well, reinforcement. Their involvement, their role was to bring you guys together.
Yes.
You and their child. To focus on that portion of the journey.
Right.
And then to continue to back up and reinforce what you've said, but then leave it at that. So that you don't want them out there with a whistle.
No, the whistles. I mean, I have no problem them watching it and once again for the reinforcement.
Right.
But
let the coach do their job, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's some stuff is good, but I mean, if you need an extra person or a body to hop in there, that's great.
Right.
But it's all good.
Sure.
Yep.
Great. All right. Okay. Well, again, I told you we weren't parent bashing. We're just trying to make sure that we're defining the roles of all the players.
Right.
In your child's life, there are many. Some, you may not even know about, So we just want to make sure that everybody understands what their role is. Now, Darrell, let me ask you something. Okay, I'm a college coach, and again, I'm just speaking in broad terms because I know that each sport, each coach, the coach, everything's different as far as what they're looking for. I mean, college coaches, what are they primarily looking for, especially when they're looking at, let's say, the younger high school athletes, the ones that haven't become the stars? We'll use football since spring football is going on now. Let's use football as an example. If I'm a college coach, what are the things that I'm typically looking for to maybe help this kid pop up? Where am I trying to scramble all these recruits and come up with the ones that I like? So what are the basic areas that I'm going to pay attention to?
Well, first thing is, and we said it, it's going to be academics, because if not, they can't even touch the kid. They
Spoken from a coach.
Academics.
Yep.
The second thing is their athletic ability. And they're going to work on. They're going to look on. If you're a really thorough coach, their flexibility. Are they can they bend? Can they, are they not a waist bender, but do they bend at their hips and their knees? That's important, especially as an offensive lineman, and throughout the other sports, and the positions. And then from the flexibility, then you're going to look at their agility, their quickness, their speed, their explosiveness. Are they disciplined? Are they a leader on the field?
Right.
I was going to ask you if that was part of it. Do they look at their personality on the field?
Yes.
How they, anybody can be, give off the elite appeal when they're winning.
Right.
What are they like when they lose the point or when they get knocked down, or so they do they are focusing on what their mentality is like when they're in the sport.
If you're a thorough coach, you have to look at all those aspects, and it's sometimes we see that we see a lot of it actually in NFL. You're looking at one thing or another, and this guy gets in trouble, or his personality doesn't mesh, and so you have to look at all those qualities in an athlete, and as well as if you do lose, or if you get knocked down, or you drop a pass or something like that, you want to see him get back up and get ready to go in for the next play.
Say, come on, everybody, let's put a stop to this.
And another major part of it is their work ethic.
Absolutely.
How hard do they work? Are they going to run 100% every time as a wide receiver? It doesn't matter if you're going to get the ball or not get the ball. You're coming off the line and do the play. Or are you going to lollygag when you're not getting a play and it's the backside and you're going to go block?
Boy, and that's a good point. And I look at these highlight videos. And a lot of the highlight videos, you'll see, the kid run and catch ball, kid run and catch ball, kid. I think that it's important to show where you're running the pattern or you're blocking or you're doing those little ancillary things when you're not getting the ball. Like Coach Pasquali said, what are you doing the rest of the game when you're not being a superstar?
Right.
Come on, let's face it. Guys that can run fast and make awesome grabs are dime a dozen. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. What are you doing when you're not getting the ball? Are you laying someone out? Are you in the game, or are you just taking a break because the play's not designed your way?
Yep.
Well, by gosh, A, that's not the way you play the sport, and B, the fact is you don't know what's going on. You don't know if the guy's checking off and he is coming your way or not. And if you're out of position because you're lollygagging around and you're taking a break, all of a sudden the ball's not there, and of course. If you're lazy like that, you're probably going to point the finger at the quarterback and blame him. We see it all the time. We see it in high school. We see it in college. And boy, do we see it in the pro level.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't know what play is going to be a touchdown. So if it's a backside play or a front side play, and you have to make a block, and you don't get there, and the running back actually got through the first level line and got through the second level line and is wide open, and all of a sudden he gets tackled because your guy is there because you didn't block him.
And he got tackled by the 5'9", 160-pound cornerback.
Yeah,
or kicker.
So every play is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just you have to give yourself 100% work ethic every time.
Boy, and again, this is something that applies to not just football. In basketball, when you're running the gut drills, don't just pace yourself. By gosh, bust it, because the more you bust it, yeah, you might go puke in a garbage can after practice because you ran yourself silly, but the more of that you do, the more peak you're going to be when you have to perform in a game. That's what it's called. That's why you have practice and why you have these things to make you better.
Absolutely.
But your attitude, I've been at practice and I've seen really good athletes have attitude. I mean, severe to the point where, talking back to the coach, walking off the court in basketball. I mean, you see bad examples. Well, hey, here's an idea. Be different. Lead a good example. What, you're afraid that your peers on the team are going to think you're not cool or something? Well, those guys are probably going to be disappearing, going to college while you're not.
Yes.
Right.
It's like the kid who likes to cut up in class. Yeah, he's a clown. He's a star in class. Everybody applauds him because everybody loves a clown, right? Well, guess what? You're the one that's taking the fall for their amusement. Yeah. The same goes in sports. Do what you know you need to do to get to that next level. Don't talk about it. Don't post pictures of you doing specific things on Facebook, and think that you're the big superstar. You've got to walk the talk. So, and if you're surrounded, this is another part of we talk about team. If your peers, if your core friend group, if they're not supporting you and they're not serious about it, well, then maybe you need to think about different friends.
Yep.
I'm telling you, the recruiting process is a serious process. We're not trying to take the fun out of it, but we're just saying that it is so competitive that you got to be focused. Yes, you can enjoy yourself. Yes, you can have fun, but you've got to make sure that you're doing things smart. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox. So I'll switch gears. I mean, because we see examples of it all the time, and it's so frustrating when you see these great kids, like Chuck, you talked about, the scholastics, and Coach, you said the same thing. It's number one on the list for the college coaches. They're looking at grades. They want to know also what kind of person you are. It's not just about your athletic ability. They can make you better in your sport, but they can't necessarily make you a better person. They can't make you more active in the community. Community service, by the way, another big thing. They can't make you more social. They can't make you go to class. They can tell you if you don't go to class, you're going to lose your scholarship. But, I mean, they can't do these things. So when they're looking at you, they want to make sure that you've got those raw tools in place so they're not worrying about all of that. Then all they have to worry about is making you a better athlete.
Right. Well, let me add that, Roger, too, is because me, coaching college football for many years, is the young athletes who are still in high school who don't understand this perspective is once you are at a college and you're going for meetings every day, you're not just going to football meetings. You will also have scheduled meetings, position meetings with your coaches, and they will talk about your academics. What do you need? What are you not doing? Okay, do I need help here? Do I need a tutor here? Okay, they're going to set up tutor programs if you need it. They're going to get extra help for you if you need that. Okay, so you're not just going to have position meetings in your college career. You're going to have also academic meetings with your position coaches.
And you have to know how to recognize it. Don't wait till you're failing to ask for the help.
Right.
And here's a tip. Nothing wrong with maybe getting proactive help to make you maybe you're a good student. Be better. Maybe make that B and A. There's nothing wrong with that. God forbid you actually get a leg up on the competition in life. And so these are some of the good point, excellent point, Coach. And these are things that, again, we could talk about probably for weeks on end, and so
Months,
we'll go, we'll go that direction. Now, we talk about, sports and training and all this. Now, you don't just deal with boys. I mean, you train girls and women too.
Yeah, I've trained girls, women. I've had women's fitness. I've had girls in soccer, basketball, softball, and soccer and tennis. It's basically working with the athlete. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl or man or woman. You're working on them to enhance their performance or just become better in fitness, and that's why I can. Basically, I've been working on the last 10 years.
Yeah, good.
Now, who's got the bigger egos out of the athletes that you train, the guys or the girls?
Definitely the boys, the men. Yeah.
Sorry, fellas,
Males.
I had to ask.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, now I want to shift gears here a little bit. We obviously know the things that need to be focused on. We know, that it's important. We know it's important to the college coaches. We know it's important to the the student athletes that are trying to get under their tutelage. Now we hear a lot about combines, combines and camps and special elite events and all these things now. And we get into this a little bit each show to get everybody's perspective. And I'm not saying that combines and camps are bad. I've made that point very clear in the past. But you bring something that's what I consider to be a little more refreshing, and we've all seen it. Any of us who have ever been at those events where you go and you see the kids going through the paces, it's like cattle being herded. Now, these kids love to go. They love to put on the shirt. They love to put on the number. They get the photograph with the sponsor's background and all that, and it gives them the look and the feel of being that next elite athlete. Yeah. But the fact is, a lot of them go. I mean, I saw kids running the 40, and it's like, did they never even learn how to run? Just the mechanics of running. It's horrible, And so you actually bring a different feel, the way you train, and you have actually specific combine and workout training. In other words, if somebody says, okay, for example, I'm going to a combine or a camp at a certain college, you'll take them and say, okay, here's the things you're going to be faced with. Here's how you do those things better. Absolutely. Because you can go, you can pay the money, you can show up, you can get your picture taken, you can see where you stand versus your peers. But the fact is, if you're going to do that, by God, go and try to be your best. Don't just see where you're at, but be prepared. And so Coach Pasquali actually takes it that step further. He'll have clinics where it's not a combine. He doesn't give out awards. He's going to work your ass off. He's going to make sure that you are prepared so when you do go to the combine, you're getting as much out of it as you can. Yes. And if you don't prepare to go to those combines and these camps, other than just running, if you think you're the stud, you are highly mistaken. And any of you who have gone to these things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about your blue chip, number one rated out. I mean, they're obviously already doing that probably. You go to these things and you see some of these kids and think, damn, man, I want to be that guy. Well, that's how you become that guy. So you can't spend your time patting yourself on your back. You got to be doing the work. And I don't care if it's a combine. I'm going to walk on. I'm going to go to the school and be a walk-on. I hear that a lot. Great. What are you going to do? You're just going to take a risk you think that maybe you're being a walk-on candidate for a reason. Maybe if you did the work properly, maybe you'd have that scholarship already locked down. Well, Coach Pasquali can take you and he'll get you prepared for the walk-on type of tryouts that you're going to have. And again, this is not just football. This is baseball. This is tennis. This is whatever your sport is. This is why that type of preparation is so important.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you've said it time and time again, it's about preparing. Right. It's about being specific. Now, let me ask you this: the combines, the money, and things like that.
Yes.
Well, what's your opinion? Well, you've seen it from different angles as a coach and as a trainer. I mean, what's your thought on the combines?
Well, my thought is basically the main reason for any athlete to go to these combines, okay, is to get their name out in public for all these schools to look at. That's
what they think they're doing.
That's what they think. That's the main reason. And then, okay, so then you have to pay to go to this combine, and then not only it, and then they're going to have these recruiting services who say, okay, well, if you join us, it's $800, $1,000, $1,200, and I'll put your name, I'll send it everything, and you know, I don't know about that. I don't think they do that. You know, so some do, some you know, I'm not really sure with that. But that's the main thing, is to get their names out there. But the main focus as an athlete, you know, to get your name out there, but also to prove yourself out there. And that's why you have to train to do these combines. You can't just show up there and say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Right. Okay? That's why these guys who leave, who go from college and NFL, and they do this combine, the scouting combine, NFL scouting, NFL combine in February. I mean, they train for this for 1 month, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, every day. You have to train for what you're going to be doing. You got to train on that drill. You're going to train on this drill, and you can't just show up one day. You know, so if you're going to go to these combines, you better, okay, you'll get your name out there, but you better prove yourself out there.
Sure,
and that's what you think. You want to go out there and just be prepared and do everything that you can do to become the best out there.
Right, and I tell you, you hit one of the number one things. You know, and again, I'm not saying all camps or all combines. I think it's pretty safe to say they're money makers. Mm-hmm. They're money makers. You're not going to get discovered. We've already talked about in the past, you know, the way to work those camps to your advantage, and that is to contact the coach ahead of time if it's a collegiate camp, and ask for specific evaluation time. All these other combine stuff, it's fluff. They're fun. And yes, if you're maybe in the top 1% of that, you know, from a talent perspective, you're going to be, you know, shining, but you're already shining. You know, maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe you like to go so you can show everybody how great you are. But the fact is, you're not going to get anything unique. Mm-hmm. You know, and as far as exposure, you're going to probably get on a bunch of sales lists from recruiting services that want to take you to the promised land. Well, again, it's all about the money. Things that you can do, your parents can do, using the free tools and resources at viewmysport.com. And you know, even if I didn't have viewmysport.com, I would be saying find the resources and the tools out there where you don't have to spend money with somebody to do it, and you don't really know what they're doing. They can tell you what they're doing, but you don't really know. Right. With the viewmysport.com format, obviously, you know, you've got everything laid at your feet, and it's just a matter of working it. You know, working smart.
Yeah. Well, I've gone on your site, and Roger, you have all the nuts and bolts lined up for you, and you know, that's what you have to do. You know, a lot of the parents don't really understand the whole recruiting process, and you laid it out for them. All they have to do is go on the profile, you know, make a profile, and just keep adding some video and send it to all the coaches are lined up, the emails are lined up to every school, even across how many countries? Over 48 countries?
Yeah, it's like 59 countries.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so you got it lined up, you know, so, you know, I encourage us, you know, the parents go on to View My Sport, and it's very simple. It's just to go on and do it, and that's the recruiting process. It's not go to these major, you know, I'll give you $1,200 and you put my son on the name and this and that. Right. You know, it's just, you know,
like
you just
their ink is made out of something special that attracts college coaches more. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's you know, you really have to take the time once again to look at it. You have to understand what you're doing, but it's not difficult. But you have to understand that the college atmosphere compared to a high school, the level is just far beyond you guys don't even understand. So you really have to project yourself and really get ready to work hard.
Sure. Well, I tell you what, we've touched on a lot of good points today. I think you know, we gave you sort of a sampling, if you will, of other things that you'll want to focus on as far as specific performance training goes, we've touched base on the scholastic aspect, which we will hammer home every single time. Your community service, things of that nature. We'd like to thank our guest today, Coach Darrell Pasquali of SAS. Thank you very much for coming in and understand something. Just because the show, we're done with the show, doesn't mean that you can't ask questions. If you have questions for Coach Pasquali or for anybody or for any of our advisors on our board, please go to viewmysport.com, click on the Contact Us box, send your questions over, your situation. It might be specific. Questions for Coach Pasquali or for any of our advisors. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you through the process. So wherever you get stuck or if you need certain advice, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to assist. I mean, that's what the show is all about. Now, Coach, real quick, if somebody wanted to get involved with you and your organization as far as having you train them, now, what's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me really by cell phone number. It's 904-616-6573, as well as you can go on my website, speedagilitysportspacific.com, and you can also send me an email, dp@sas.com.
Excellent. And then, of course, if you didn't catch all that, again, go to viewmysport.com, click on Contact Us, fire your questions over for Coach Pasquali, and we'll be more than happy to get you guys connected. I'd say that's a wrap. We've had a great show today. Thank you so much. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to our guest. I tell you, next week we have a treat. We have Jenny Ritter, who is a former pitcher for the University of Michigan, won a national championship during her tenure. She will be our guest on, and we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of high school and college softball, the recruiting. We're going to put to bed some of the myths that are out there. And I tell you, it's going to be a special show. You thought today was special with Coach Pasquali. And no offense, Darrell, but she's a lot better looking than you are. So
hopefully.
So please tune in next Wednesday for our show with Jenny Ritter from Michigan. And that's a wrap. Just remember, everybody out there, enjoy the ride.